Welcome everyone to a brand new episode of Salt of the Earth, a program by Media Commission of the Catholic Syro-Malabar Eparchy of Great Britain. Today we are going to bring you another saint of the Catholic Church. As you all know, the structure of this program is like this. We will be presenting the life of a saint in the Catholic Church, and there will be 5 questions asked which you need to send in the answers to us. In the last few weeks, we are getting tremendous response from a lot of people, and you have been sending the correct answers. But unfortunately, the first respondent with all the correct answers get the prize. And as we announced earlier, if you have sent correct answers consecutively for the first 10 episodes, you can claim to be included into a lot where, if you're lucky, you will get a prize. The last week's questions and answers were: I know you are waiting to know who the winner was for last week. You know the format to send in the correct answers. The format is now showing on the screen, as you can see. Answer number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, your name and the name of your mission. And the number to send the correct answer via WhatsApp is also showing here on the screen. Now it is time for us to listen to the life of a Catholic saint.
Hello everyone. Today we're talking about one of the 12 disciples of Jesus Christ. One of the first leaders of the early church. Jesus promised him a special position in the church. In Matthew 16:18, we hear the words of Jesus. As I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the powers of the death shall not prevail against it. Yes, Simon Peter, the rock. St. Peter, who became the first pope of our Catholic Church. St. Peter was born in 1st century AD in Bethsaida, modern-day Syria. Peter was a Galilean and therefore shared the same spirit of independence and opposition to Jerusalem, which was traditional in that northern province at the time. Throughout the Gospels, Peter's interactions with Jesus and disciples reflect him as a leader who is impulsive, ambitious, self-assertive, and quick to commit without fully understanding the meaning of Jesus' words or actions. Peter exhibits the character of an outspoken leader of the disciples. Although quick to commit to Jesus' challenges, like we see in John 13:9, when Jesus washes his disciples' feet, he is unsteady in demonstrating his commitment during Jesus' time of suffering, as we see in John 18, Peter's first, second, and third denials. However, Peter is transformed in John 21 from the ambitious, self-motivated, impulsive, and inconsistent follower of Jesus to the fully committed, charismatic leader of Jesus' church. Simon Peter and his brother Andrew were fishing partners with James and John. The fishermen Jesus promised to make them fishers of men. Let's talk about the recognition of Jesus as the Messiah. Jesus asked his followers, "Who do men say I am?" One by one, they were giving out the responses. A teacher, a healer, a prophet like John the Baptist, Elijah, Jeremiah. It was Peter who answered and said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God," meaning the Messiah. The event on Mount Hermon, Peter was present when Christ was transfigured. The event on the Sea of Galilee, Peter was allowed to walk on the water with Jesus. And when he was about to fall, Jesus immediately stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, "O you of little faith, why do you doubt?" As they got into the boat, wind ceased. Peter was also present at the raising of Jairus' daughter by the Lord. Only he, along with James and John, were allowed in the house, as we read these names in both Mark 5:37 and Luke 8:51. Peter asked Christ to explain the parable of faithful saint in Luke 12. It shows his desire to understand and be that servant who finds the master in readiness, even if the master were to come in the middle of the night or towards daybreak. The three synoptic gospels recount how Peter's mother-in-law was healed by Jesus at their home in Capernaum. These passages clearly depicts Peter as being married. Peter was the first of the apostles to see Jesus after his resurrection from the dead. Even though John reached the tomb of Jesus first, he waited for Peter to arrive. This was shown as respect, and Peter entered the tomb before him. In the early days after the death of Jesus, Peter is presented in Acts again as the leader of Jesus' followers. The Jewish Sanhedrin treated him as the leader, and he preached the first mass appeal to the Jerusalemites about Jesus. He also directed the economic life of the Christian community and decided who would be admitted to it. Although Jesus' Great Commission, which we see in Matthew 28, Jesus asked the disciples to go to all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. It initially remained as a challenge to these apostles. Peter at the beginning could only carry the message of Christ to Jews, Samaritans, and the Jewish proselytes at the time. Peter, the leader of the church, were affected by their own religious traditions and beliefs. When Christians faced their first major decision whether to admit non-Jews to their group, it was Peter who received guidance from God to make a positive decision, and by accepting everybody into Jesus. However, we read that there is a difference of opinion at times with Paul, beyond doubt. However, through the empowerment that came from the Holy Spirit, as we see in Acts 2, Peter's characteristics of fearfulness and inconsistency at times were replaced completely by confidence and conviction and passion. Peter inspired crowds of thousands, bringing new believers into the faith and standing up to the leader that he once feared. He understood that the risk he was taking as he looked up to the works of Christ, preaching in public, healing the sick, converting followers. Clearly, Peter was focused on bringing Christ's message to transform the world without considering for his own safety. As per traditions, Peter died between 64 to 68 AD. And according to early Christians, he was crucified in Rome under Emperor Nero. Peter requested that his cross be upside down, as he believed he did not deserve to die in the same way his master died. In art, we see Peter portrayed as a short, square bearded man. We see him holding a set of keys as his attribute, referring to what Jesus promised him, to hold the key to the kingdom of heaven. We celebrate the feast of St. Peter and St. Paul on 29th of June every year. So now let's look into our mystery box and see what we have for St. Peter. We have a beautiful photograph. Here's a photo of St. Peter in the sea with Jesus holding his hands. Peter was a man who walked with Jesus in the ground and in the sea and in the heaven. Let's too learn from him and try and find our path to walk with our Christ. Thank you, everyone. Now it's our question time. The first question we have is, where was St. Peter born? Question number 2. Along with Peter, which other disciples of Jesus were present when the Lord raised Jairus' daughter from death? Question number 3. Where did Peter's mother-in-law live? Question number 4. Why did Peter requested to die on an upside-down cross? Question number 5. When do we celebrate the feast of St. Peter and Paul?
We hope all of you are enjoying this show, and in the next episodes we will bring you another saint of the Catholic Church. Till then, goodbye. May God bless you all.